Welcome to Fintech Uncut, the quiz show with candid commentary on the biggest fintech and financial services news of the week that was. Disclaimer: this show is created purely for entertainment purposes and contains segments of sarcasm, satire, parody, and humor, even if you don't think any of it is funny. The creators do not accept any responsibility or liability for the accuracy of any content shared and reminded you to always fact-check everything yourself. And now, it's over to your quiz master.
Welcome everyone at Fintech Uncut, the quiz show with candid commentary on the week's biggest fintech and financial service stories with the wise guy, the other guy, and Judge Mary. Are you ready? Are the guys ready?
Yeah!
Let's go! My name is Rico Colbertus, the host of the day, eager to know who will win this week's quiz. Chris, the wise guy Skinner, Andrew, the other guy Forster, or someone else. We'll soon know, and all of that depends on our judge, Mary. Let's start with the first question. What is the one thing you need once you get over 61 years old in the United States?
Joe Biden as your dad?
Don't you have to be about 80 to have Joe Biden as your dad?
It's getting that way, but you know, I mean, if I reach 61 in America, not that I'm anywhere near that age, obviously, because I'm far away, but I'd either need Joe Biden as my dad, or I'd need some dope, or some cannabis bank, or a Zimmer frame, or a pension.
I think you'd need bigger clothes, Chris, because over 41% of Americans over 60 are obese. So you'd need bigger clothes. You know, inflation and all that.
You would know about this.
Yeah, I've already got them.
I must admit, when I slipped from L to XL, I realized that it's a downhill slope.
Well,
come on, guys.
According to Forbes, so I'll make it, financial services related because it's Forbes, so it must be serious. Article published this week. Forbes. It's Forbes Health, though. They published an article saying that what you need is an online dating profile, because apparently the online dating apps for the over 60s are all the boom and the rage at the moment.
Yeah, I've heard that.
There we go. No,
what's that got to do with fintech?
Well, money. It's all the rage. Money, making lots of money.
Spending money, dating.
Yeah, but I think that they all have to write checks because they're all over 60 and they're in America, and Americans, of all ages, they just write checks for everything. I don't know what's up with that.
I mean, I must admit, I did see something this week about a company called Charlie, and I was thinking, is that to do with cocaine? But
yeah,
Charlie is actually about something to do with banking for people over 61. So is that getting close?
It's the right answer.
So what's Charlie got to do with banking, Chris?
Well, basically it helps people.
Is it because all the bankers do cocaine?
Either that or they're just dope. But basically, people who are about to retire need help with their resources and getting better access and easier structure to their social security and earnings and pensions in the USA. So this company's been created specifically for people who are 62 or older, called Charlie, and basically helps them manage all of their financial services.
It got me confused though, because when I looked at what they offer, it was like a copy paste of what neobanks offer for kids, for teenagers, for Gen Z, for Gen X, for anyway.
Not really. They've got one specific niche focus. So I'm just sliding in here for the extra bonus points that Mary might give away there, you see.
Bigger writing and bigger numbers, bigger writing, and phones that have large handsets. And color palette that can be easily seen by people that are going slightly have a problem with their sight, but that's not the niche thing.
They are basically offering the equivalent of a payday loan, but these are to people who no longer are employed. So they're getting their social security. They're drawing down on their social security, and your social security gets paid 1 month after it's due in the States. So they've identified that Americans, as in the rest of the world as well, people are desperate for a cash flow at the moment. So you can't get a payday loan if you ain't getting paid, you're unemployed. So they're actually giving you an advance on your social security. So after you've had your first social security check paid in, they will then give you an advance against your social security check. And they're looking to, their monetization model is on interchange fees. That's what they're doing it. And bizarrely, the name Charlie they chose because they wanted it to sound like somebody's trusted grandchild that didn't sound too smart but was trustworthy. And they tried it out. The three of the founders tried out this whole concept on their grandmothers for real life. So there's some full extra information about Charlie.
Are you sure it's not named after our new king in Britain, King Charles?
I think it's probably trending because of that.
Oh, Chris, you're such a royalist. Mary, how did Andrew influence his score?
Andrew influenced his score quite well because Chris, of course, got the answer right first, but Andrew really added some colorful details. So I'm going with the 7 and 7. And can I just say, I really love the idea of a neobank for over 62, like as a general thing, regardless of what happens with Charlie.
Yeah, I think the niches, and we've spoken about this many times before, you know, there's still opportunity in niches, and this is a niche that's overlooked. There's many niches that people can drill down into. You know, you're not going to do a lot.
But on from first point of view, I do feel that it may well be just another example of founders being extremely excited about their product and not properly understanding what elderly are actually looking for. We'll see.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. But I do think that early social security check is good bait, just as it was for Chime for early payday.
Yeah.
Question 2. Or do you want to add something more, Chris?
No, I'm just wondering about Charlie's long-term prospects.
Yeah.
As in, you know,
the king.
If you're banking people at 62, you know, it's a diminishing customer base.
True.
Life expectancy in America is only life expectancy in America is only 76 anyway, so you've got 14 years of a customer max.
Although Robert De Niro just had a baby and he's 79, so whatever.
Yeah. Are you the Robert De Niro of Fintech Uncut, Chris?
I'm not that old, Rick.
Anyway, Charlie could be a long-term game if they listen to Fintech Uncut and answer the following question right. What does any financial institution need to do to explode its profits?
According to LinkedIn, the answer's got to be ChatGPT. I cannot open up LinkedIn without seeing something about bloody ChatGPT on my feed at the moment. Oh, this week alone, did you know that 37 new applications were started on ChatGPT? Let me give you the top 150 prompts to be able to... What a load of bollocks. But it's got to be. ChatGPT is going to solve all of the world's problems at the moment.
But if everyone uses it, it won't explode the profits.
It's GPT-4, Andrew, not ChatGPT. You know, get with the times. You know, but to explode its profits, maybe invest in cryptocurrencies. Oh no, that was last year. Okay, invest in fintech. Oh no, that was last year.
Yeah. NFTs. No, that was last year.
Metaverse. Oh no.
Yeah, that was last year.
News.
I'll tell you, Bank of England's got the answer, right? Raise bloody interest rates. They've just raised the interest rate again for the 12th consecutive time. And it's at the highest level in the UK for nearly 15 years. So, you know, they want to explode profits. Yeah, they just carry on raising bloody interest rates. To hell with the rest of us.
I'm talking about commercial financial institutions here.
Ah, bollocks. I don't know the answer there then.
Yeah.
Never mind the bollocks. Here's the X Pistols.
I think the answer is hire a good accountant that can play with numbers.
Nope.
KPMG?
Definitely hire a good accountant that can play with numbers. Like, maybe booking things on your balance sheet that's not really making a profit, but they just miraculously manifests out of a buying something for less than the finger in the air book value. Like maybe the way that First Citizens Bank has done with their acquisition of Silicon Valley Bank, something like that.
Are getting close.
I mean, HSBC made a fortune out of buying Silicon Valley Bank UK for £1. They said it made $1.5 billion profit.
Yeah.
JP Morgan said the same about First Republic, that they immediately booked a $500 million profit from the acquisition. So, First Citizens, I think, has just said that they made $10 billion out of acquiring Silicon Valley Bank America.
It's quite amazing because a year ago, it was 264 million. So that's an explosion of profit. Now, last week, I still thought, oh, damn criminals. But if you think about it, a bank that loses trust is worth zero. A bank that is trusted with the assets it has, well, it gets the valuations pretty much to regular estimations, as long as you can guarantee that it's worth something. So in that respect, I think it's a good couple of examples that banking is very much a trust business.
Yeah, but we did talk about last week the fact that the one thing that Signature, Silicon Valley Bank, and First Republic had in common was KPMG, which is why I referenced them.
Also true.
And so obviously, the book value of those banks was not stated correctly. Or
but
now
also,
it's restated.
Is it really profit? They haven't earned anything. They haven't done anything. It's accounting. This is all just paper money. That's why I was saying, hire a good accountant that can advise you on how to properly book your losses.
But what's happening is, if you break a bank apart and give the FDIC all of the bad loans and bad business, just keep the good business, of course, you're going to say we've made a good return on the investment.
But the thing is also, if you have long-term assets that will be worth something in the future, and you can keep your deposits at the right level, there's no harm done. The problem was the moment that the deposits went down, and that led to the collapse of the bank. So if you have a trusted institution where people don't take back their money, the values go back to normal.
What's the word on the wire in America, Mary, in terms of what are people saying about all these collapses?
It depends who you ask, but I feel like the term I could see is like it's been a mini crisis, and people are being very careful with the rhetoric here. So well, some are, some aren't, but you don't want to freak everybody out. But they're so you have that going on, and on the other hand, I think there's this notion that we're going to be okay-ish. Is it delusion? Is it real? I don't know. The more people I talk to, the more confusion I have around.
Is PacWest going under, or do you think they'll get through it?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a strong view there. What do you think?
Well, the share price is tumbling, but they seem to be riding the wave. Unfortunately, the wave is going down, but we shall see.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We will see. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I keep saying is it's not a systemic crisis. It's lots of individual banks that unfortunately are getting this halo effect where people think that they're suffering because this other bank failed, and that just takes away a lot of the trust in the markets and belief in those banks.
Yeah, and it also makes people care about insurance, which I'm still baffled by, but in a good way. All right, points. We need to get points. So this is a tough round as well, Rick, because they're sort of playing into the right answer together. But Chris, I give you 7 points. Andrew, I give you 6. Neck and neck.
Question number 3. What's the most surprising court decision in the world of fintech this week?
Is it that Prince Harry's investment in the Meghan Bank wasn't worth it?
Wasn't it Meghan coin, wasn't it? What was that?
What's with you and the royals? That's what I want.
It's a face-off.
Oh,
Versus
it was the-
versus the Royals.
Was the Megaverse? That was the one. I was trying to remember what the
Megaverse. There you go.
The Megaverse. No, not so much within the
It
world.
must cost you a fortune to get into the Megaverse.
Well, nowadays, especially. Actually, Prince Harry's going to be in court soon, apparently. In the UK, he's flying back from America to come and appear in court as a witness in court cases against the media that he had brought against them last year, him and Meghan.
Mary, can you please tell our guys that for royal news they should go to another podcast?
I'm kind of down for it, you know.
Well, you can follow them.
Americans, you know.
Keep
I was
going,
actually-
gentlemen.
I was a bit disappointed knowing that big oil and financial services are often, intrinsically linked. I was a bit disappointed to see that the UK had ruled in favor of Shell in the case about the Nigerian oil spill back in 2011. And they ruled in favor of Shell on a technicality that the community had taken too long to bring the case to court. And I'm going, no, they didn't even review the evidence. They went, no, you've taken too long. So forget the fact that people are literally got rivers of oil flowing through their country. It's like, no, we're not going to hear the case because of a technicality. Shell, your appeal is won. Very disappointing. But anyway, that's not to do with the world of fintech.
No.
And going back to Rick's question, it's decisions in the world of fintech this week. So I reckon this might be to do with the exit of key executives from Revolut, in that the chief financial officer and the chief executive that was meant to be heading up their bank, which they're trying to get a license for and still haven't got it, both left the company and this week. They haven't said exactly why, except for personal reasons.
Yeah, it was for personal reasons, Chris.
Yeah, what's a personal reason? Like, I don't like Nick Stronsky.
I have to walk my dog.
I don't want to go to
real.
court. I don't want to go to court. Maybe that's a personal reason.
Yeah, I don't want to be left out to hang and dry. I don't know, but it's kind of, I think Revolut's full of issues at the moment. Certainly from what you read from the outside. I don't know what it's like on the inside, but seeing such key people, the chief financial officer and the head of their bank that's meant to be getting a license leaving, that doesn't give me confidence.
Startup needs to outgrow its startup maturity level, and they should be going to a proper manager. But probably if you have a big ego on top, it's very hard to replace him. I think that's what's happening over there right now.
So is that close?
No.
Oh,
There was a
Just interesting. And
there was an
fintech related.
There was maybe you missed it. Maybe it is the answer to the question. There was a court ruling this week on ownership of the first ever NFT ever created.
No.
That was a thing.
Rick, you need a horn.
Oh, okay, I'll have to put that one in the show notes then, because it would be interesting for people to read the story. Might even be turned into a Netflix movie. Who knows?
So
So,
we're going to get these people back in control.
Chris, I think we should be frank with them.
yeah. I mean, Frank.
We're getting closer there.
Andrew laughing at him.
Frank.
I do it all the time.
It must be to do with this lady, Charlie Javis, I think it is, who sold Frank to JP Morgan for millions of dollars, and then it's in court because basically it was all made up. Frank didn't have nearly the number of customers which she quoted as millions, and JP Morgan's now trying to get their money back.
But the interesting court decision, because yes, I think that Rick's referring to Frank because his eyes lit up when we said Frank and Charlie. The interesting court decision, though, is that JP Morgan have to pay Charlie Javis's defense fees in court. I'm going, what? Hang on a minute. She's the one who lied through her teeth and got her CFO to collude with her to be able to pay a third-party programmer to create fictitious accounts.
Well, Andrew,
and
that's
then
what the press tells us.
JP Morgan has to pay her defense costs in court.
I bet Trump has another story around
you have to keep the words alleged and those sorts of phraseologies around this conversation.
Okay, her alleged fraud, alleged 175, and her alleged collusion with an alleged third-party person who allegedly created.
That's why you use blockchain, because it's alleged.
It's alleged. That's bada boom.
No, but I kind of missed the reasoning behind the ruling in the articles that I found related to this article. So I was surprised as well, because we discussed it in Fintech Uncut, and then we were talking about fraud, etc. And apparently it was allegedly fraud. But I don't know the reasoning behind the decision.
No, it's baffling, but what's also baffling is
all that I could follow through was it was technically something to do with the fact that she was employed by JP Morgan under an employment contract when they then brought the court case against her. So technically she was an employee and they have to cover the court case, the legal defense fees of employees. That was what I gleaned from articles around there, because I did the same thing. I thought, no, why the hang would they? And apparently that surfaced as what the reason is why court ruled in favor of JP Morgan having to pay her defense fees. She'll probably still lose the case, but it won't cost her more.
Does it also mean that would that have happened in Europe, that she could just have gone to the unions?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Mary, you're going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was just at this conference and everyone was talking about like how scrutiny matters so much and like auditing your vendor and their vendors. And I just kept thinking, how did this Chase thing go down? Like, I know banks say this, but like, if this is happening to Chase, I think there are really wild question marks of what's happening with the tech companies banks are working with.
Well, I think there's a couple of things in there. One is, the due diligence that normally banks are meant to be pretty good at has let them down. It's partly, I think, because of the excitement over getting involved in fintech companies and wanting to be on the boat before the boat leaves the harbor.
Where are the days?
Yeah, and then I also think what's interesting here is that the court case was in Delaware. And having had a personal experience of a Delaware-based company being a fraudulent company, people can get away with an awful lot of stuff in Delaware. Just saying, allegedly.
Well, that's an interesting detail. I was going to give you 7 points, but now I'm giving you 8. 8 points to Chris, 6 points to Andrew.
What he didn't tell you was that he owned the fraudulent company in Delaware.
That's okay, 9 points.
No, I got ripped off really badly by a Delaware-based company trading in Europe. So you can ask me another time offline.
In our tell-all, when we do our Fintech Uncut tell-all.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a little story now for question 4.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I am. In the Federated States of Micronesia, we can find the Yap Islands. In the history of money, they deserve a special place. That is where we can find the Yap stones, also called rice stones or face stones. And it's one of the many large artifacts that were manufactured and treasured by the native inhabitants of the Yap Islands of Micronesia. They are also known as the Japanese stone money or similar names. They're typically carved out of crystalline limestone and shaped like a disc with a hole in the center. The largest seems to be up to 4,000 kilograms. They were carried on several of the Micronesian islands, mainly Palau, but briefly on Guam as well. The practice stopped in the early 20th century. Today, around 6,000 large rice stones are outstanding on the island, and several can be seen in museums worldwide. Modern economists have viewed rhinestones as a form of money and are often used as an example to support the thesis that the value of some form of money can be assigned purely through a shared belief in said value. Now, my question for you is, what's even harder to make a payment with than yapstones, according to Bank of England's head of fintech?
I can tell you that as somebody from the UK visiting the Netherlands, it's almost impossible to pay with a debit or credit card from the UK. It's much harder than paying with a yapstone. If
Bring
you're
your
visiting the
yapstone next
Netherlands.
time, Andrew. Bring your
I
yapstone.
will. I am actually going to need to try that out because I think it would probably be easier than paying with a debit or credit card issued in the UK.
Wrong answer.
I've got to tell you, because I'm an expert on these things, because yapstones are always used by people in the Bitcoin community to discuss ledgers and blockchain, that every stone has markings on it that shows who owns the stone at that point of time. And when you trade the stones, the markings on the stone change. So I don't have a yapstone, but what's amazing about them is that it's not natural to the Yap Islands. So they've actually gone out like hundreds of kilometers and brought them back in canoes and then had them outside their houses. It's a fascinating history. Nothing to do with the answer, by the way, just throwing it in.
You're just yapping about them.
I'm just showing how much I know about stuff. But there was a very interesting article this week, which it may be related, I don't know, but an Australian millionaire has bought the most expensive property in Australia in Melbourne. It's a penthouse apartment on the 57th floor of a new development that he spent $27 million US dollars to buy. And just on a crane with 8 people, brought in his McLaren supercar, a Senna GTR, which is a very rare $2 million car, into the apartment on the 57th floor. And it's basically going to stay there forever because they've had to redesign the building to allow the car to get in there. We're using this crane. So that must be harder to pay for than something with a yapstone.
But I'm talking about payments, my friends. I'm talking about payments here.
Who was paying with the
$2 million for a car,
What
$27 million for an apartment, and a crane to get to the 57th floor. Come on.
I can't handle that kind of human. I don't.
I can tell you that it's going to be very hard to pay with the digital euro, following on from the EU paper that was released this week that was proposed to go to the Parliament, that actually recommends no digital euro for the foreseeable future. So it's going to be almost impossible to pay with a digital euro because they ain't going to exist. So all this talk about, digital euro and a CBDC from the European Central Bank and all that, the recommendation paper says, actually, no use case, can't understand what problem it's solving, don't do it, play with it on the side so you can keep up with what all the cool kids are saying, but actually, no point. That's the summary of that paper.
You're getting closer.
I've got to tell you, I think Andrew gets no points because he didn't listen to the question correctly.
You didn't either. You talked about McLaren.
Rick, I think you mentioned the Bank of England. So it's not going to be anything to do with the
McLaren.
Digital euro. It's to do with the Bank of England, who had one of their guys at a conference this week, their head of fintech, saying that cryptocurrencies have no value because they don't fulfill any useful function with money. But he's doing that basically to say what you need is a central bank digital currency, like a digital British pound. Forget the digital euro.
Exactly. So he was saying the digital pound fulfills the functions of money, but cryptocurrencies don't. And technically, he's 100% correct under the current definition of money, but most people aren't treating cryptocurrencies as money. Most people are treating cryptocurrencies as investments or assets. So actually, it's a moot point, and I don't think I was waiting for Chris to stand up and show off his Fintech Uncut Hodl merch. That's it. Glitch in the system. Hodl.
You got a hodl, mate. Hodl.
Exactly, because actually, and as much as I am not a crypto fan, I do get the point of the crypto community to say, and so what? We never said it should be fulfilling the functions of money because
Well,
it's
that's
something
not
new and different.
100% right. They always did until 1-2 years ago.
Probably, but a lot of them have said it's something different, it's something new, and that we should rethink our definition of money.
I think this is where I give a confession. When Bitcoin was very young, I had a little bit of it, and I used it to buy a manicure. So, in Hollywood, nonetheless. So that's what I did. That's what your judge did.
Fabulous.
Yeah. All right. Points. Chris 7, Andrew 5. Final round of 2 questions.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm stumped on this one.
Sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. There's the sound of the beast. Whoop, whoop. There's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. There's the sound of the beast. Check out the message in a rough style. The root criminal is a COP. How did the police make the controversial round this time?
What? Can I ban Rick?
Wait a moment, Chris. Yeah, Andrew's back.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just fell off my chair there temporarily.
Yeah. I mean, did Sting open a bank? You know, Sting from the Police, the band.
I don't think he invested in a fintech either.
I don't know. I mean, I can imagine Sting maybe created a bank on Tatooine. You know, because basically one of the band members was called Padawan. And if you didn't know that, that's true. Henry Padavani. So it's controversial because Sting from the Police opened a bank for Star Wars fans.
No. But I do think you're on the right track with Sting there. Because I mean that's the police, right? I mean there's an article just this week about P. Diddy has confessed and admitted that he has been paying Sting a huge amount of royalties every year for stealing a riff from Every Breath I Take. And he used it on I'll Be Missing You. And Sting took him to court, and it's been an undisclosed amount, but P. Diddy admitted that the amount that he does actually play is significantly more than what anybody's ever estimated in the media. And this has contributed apparently a large chunk of Sting's estate has come from that one song because of the royalties paid by P. Diddy.
And one of my claims to fame is I did a presentation in West Coast, California, and unfortunately had to rush away for coming back into Europe to do another presentation. And the person after me was Sting.
Oh, wow.
But I missed him. So,
no,
there you go.
I would have cancelled the next presentation if I had managed to get to meet him. So is it nothing to Sting then, Rick?
No, it has to do with police.
Police
do Sting.
Like
so
proper police, the cops. COP.
Well, maybe it's the police sting in Britain around crypto fraud, in that the police in Britain arrested several people this week, basically because they were doing money laundering through cryptocurrencies, and that's illegal. So you got to hang them up.
Well, you don't have to hang them up.
Well, it depends which country you're in.
Maybe in Poland, but no, I haven't said that. Anyway, it's not the right answer.
I think it was a policewoman that was following in Mary's footsteps, and there was a story about a policewoman that took a dead person's bank card and went on a luxury spending spree, including hair appointments and manicures, and so you know, when Mary spent her money on the cryptocurrency.
Well, you're not saying I'm taking dead people's card.
No, you didn't take dead people's card.
Next year. That's next year.
But she had the same spending habits.
Oh, no. If that's anywhere near a complete aside, but I was amazed in the Australian Royal Commission that looked into bank practices and found that they were charging premiums for advisory services to dead people for years. And the bank's got a big slap over the head over that one. So, but that's nothing to do with the police. But, using dead people's money is not necessarily a good thing unless you're the kid going back to, having Joe Biden as your dad.
Mary.
Yes, points.
Yeah.
Andrew, you
Was
won
that the right answer?
The right answer was a policewoman that stole a dead person's bank card, electricity, and their appointments.
So Andrew won with 7, Chris 5, especially for that last little bit of detail that is haunting.
All right, last question. In a way, we learned from previous sessions that London isn't the financial center it used to be. However, for the wrong reason, it is still called the financial center of the world. Why is that?
It's the best place to launder money, the best place to avoid tax, and the best place to do shady deals.
You won.
Thank you.
That's it. I think this show needs to be sponsored by Netflix. Have you seen The Spider's Web, Britain's Second Empire, the movie on Netflix? I mean, London's got links to all of the global tax havens, Bahamas, Caymans, you name it. This is the money laundering capital of the world. We're, pretty famous for that.
I must admit, one of my favorite, well, I've got 2 books that I often go back to. One's called Treasure Islands and the other is called Debt. And both of them are very illuminating, which is basically that Britain and actually America have created so many tax havens around the world to dodge tax and equally to put poor nations into higher debt, which is the reason why they're so popular as places to invest. But obviously, that's allegedly. It's not necessarily true.
Yes, in fact, Chris has won.
What was the answer?
Oh, Britain is the fraud capital of the world.
Oh.
But we're the fraud capital of the world because of the scammers, not so much because of the tax havens and the money laundering and anything like that. It's just that £3 billion worth of fraud has taken place here with scammers, but unfortunately, only 2% of the police forces is investigating these crimes because they don't view it as being, it's not a massive crime allegedly. And the losses per person in the UK are way higher than USA, Canada, Australia, everything like that. And yeah, only a small fraction of the frauds are actually ever reported to the police because most people know that the police aren't going to do anything with it.
I'm surprised Brits lose more than Australians because those kangaroos are bastards.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we were counting Chris's first answer as the win, but now Andrew is showing off and you get a 9 and Chris only gets a 7. I think Chris is still winning, but I'm doing math here. So
do the math. Do the math.
We'll let you catch up. Final scores on the doors.
Rick, take us away though.
What's the final score?
I'm doing it slowly and surely, as you can see.
Andrew got 41. I got 42.5.
No, Andrew got 40. And Chris, I'm building suspense. And you know why? Because I keep hitting the on and off button on accident because I'm sleepy. Chris is 40. It was 41 to 40. That was a high.
Whoa, that's a close one that you said.
That's a close one.
All right, excellent. Thank you all for joining, for listening, for watching. I can't wait for more international fintech news coming soon. If you like our show, make sure you register on our website for a newsletter to be the first to know about the new episode. As a big fan, don't hesitate to have a look at our merchandise on that same website. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever channel you're on. This was a 20-second Fintech Uncut. We hope to entertain you, your dogs, your cats, rabbits, colleagues, friends, connections. I'm getting confused here, but we want to entertain all of you very soon again. Bye-bye.